hasn't lost since. That's a heck of a guy to take on for a comeback fight, you know? It was no easy touch. He had a great chin. You know, those guys from Ghana are very tough. That's where Zuma Nelson came from. Ben Tog, I trained a bunch of guys from Ghana.
Claudia.
Huh?
Claudia.
Yeah, Claudia as well. And they're tough guys. They're trained well. They're very strong men. And they're well schooled. So, you know, I knew right after people go, oh, it's a 1 or 2 round knockout. I go, no, I don't think so. You know, I thought it would go 5, 6, maybe 7, but I certainly thought we might have him out by 9, and we almost did a few times. But the guy was in great shape. He came in great shape. He took a good punch. He survived good punches, but he also held on smartly. He moved around. Some would say ran smartly. So he fought a smart fight in terms of surviving. It really wasn't a performance on his part to win. See, unless he thought he was going to get lucky with some overhand left, which was not going to happen.
Joe,
so, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. But
go ahead.
Does he remind you at all of your late great champion Diego Corrales, Ryan?
Well, you know, Diego Corrales, when we got together, was 27 years old, so he was much more mature, much more experienced, and a different fighter at that point. Ryan certainly has possibilities to be in his own way as great as Corrales is. Corrales is a different fighter, whole different style. Some things may remind you of that, but not really. Ryan has the possibility of becoming one of the big superstars of all time. Look, he just turned, he's 23, he's going to turn 24. He's only had 21 fights. It's not a lot of fights. It's the first time he's gone 12 rounds ever. This kid is growing right now, mentally, spiritually, physically, in every way. Give him a couple of years, and it's going to be over.
Ryan's always gotten for a knockout. What did you tell him when Tagoe would just refuse to engage? What were you telling him?
Look, you can't say go for the knockout only. You know, you have to tell him how to go for a knockout, and that's what I was telling him. You know, you gotta work your jab. You gotta work your way in. Don't back out a lot. So after a certain point, when the guy's running, I mean, why even back away from the guy? So just keep the pressure. Sometimes you got to keep the pressure on a guy and be relentless about it. But you also have to go to the body more. There's a few other punches that we're gonna work on in the gym where he'll be able to implement when he gets a little bit closer. So you know, beyond that, it's not brain surgery. You know, keep your hands up, keep the pressure on a guy like that. Don't let him run around you. Try to cut off the ring. Get to his body, because if you swing for his head, you're likely going to miss. He's got really good head movement, and you know, we accomplished most of that. We just didn't knock him out, but we almost did. But you know, we ran the table. You know, I thought we won every round. So it's a great experience. At the end of the day, De La Hoya said it. Bernard Hopkins said it. They know how important it is to have competition. You can't just have guys that always just get knocked out on their first punch. To grow in this game, you need to fight guys that can test you, test your conditioning, test your mettle, test your heart, test your skills. And I think this guy did all of that tonight, and we still came out on top rather handily. So it's a great experience. You know, you can't be disappointed because we didn't knock him out. I'm certainly not. I've been around long enough to know a 12-round win over basically an undefeated guy is pretty damn good.
Joe, after your first fight,
we can move that way. They need to move my
Joe, we can still do it, but we have to get off the cable again.
Oh yeah.
They just need to move this.
I don't want to
just get off the cable.
Yeah.
We don't want to get too many cameras to get like that. Thank you guys.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Joe, after your first fight, I know it was mentioned that a tank fight might be at the end of the year. Would you want to go straight into that
I don't know anything about a tank fight. Nobody of any relevance has said we're fighting Tank. Now that would be Tank's promoter, Tank's manager, or Tank himself. I've heard nothing about that. Has Tank been mentioned by a lot of people? Yes, but there's nothing of substance that's ever been directed towards me or our camp that I know. I mean, certainly a possibility one day.
In a perfect world, how soon would you like to see him get back, and what type of opponent?
I would like to have, look, when you come out of a fight unscathed, okay, I think one of the I think one of the downsides of boxing in the modern era is fighters don't fight enough. You know, most of the guys that, you know, I grew up trained with, they all had 65, 70, 80 fights. They fought tough and they fought often. And that really, so, you know, when you became champion, you held on to it for a while because you had that experience. So the answer is, I'd like to see Ryan get back there ASAP. Why? No hurt hands, no cuts, no bruises, no bumps. You know, great workout. Take a couple weeks off, get right back in the gym. See, I'm not one to say you have to do something at Caesar's Palace. Hey, I'll go anywhere. I'll go to an empty lot in, you know, Pomona and fight. Just, I want to keep my fighters busy. It's how they learn. It's how they stay in shape, quite frankly.
Well, you and Ryan mentioned, you know, that you guys learned something from this fight. Is there something specific that stood out for you?
That what? I'm sorry?
Because you and Ryan mentioned that there was something you guys learned from this fight that you got out of it. Is there anything specific that
Well, again, I mean, if you've never gone 12 rounds, that stands out as something you just learned, okay? You learn that you can go 12 rounds with a legitimate guy, not some guy that came here to lay down or not to win. The guy came here to win and fight his heart out and train very hard. He trained in Florida. We just didn't fly him in over a plane. He got off and came to the ring. No, he went to a training camp just like we did. And, you know, you learn that not everyone is going to fall when you hit them. So, are there other ways to make a guy fall? Yeah, you got it. You can always add a variety of punches that you can start working on that aid and abet you in deconstructing your opponent. And that's something that we're going to dissect the fight and go to work on and say, hey, here's what we could have done a little bit more of, or you've got to start using this particular punch. It's a lot of things. There's a lot of minutia. It's hard to say until you really break it down.
All things considered, you know, your first fight together, the playoff, how would you grade Ryan's performance overall?
Oh, I'd give him an A. Look, 15 months off against basically an undefeated fighter. I mean, didn't get hit. Showed great conditioning. Punched hard all the way to the end of the fight. Hurt Tagoe, I think in the 10th or 11th. Hurt him later on in the fight. Look, you know, Tagoe was holding on for the most part, you know, as we say, holding on like a barnacle for, you know, most of the rounds. And so, you know, it's part wrestling match, part fight. But I give Ryan an A for his determination, for being off 15 months. Coming back and showing that type of conditioning, because it's, you know, fighting and working out are two different things. But if you fight often, that becomes regular to you. It's like playing baseball. If you're sitting on the bench, you don't get at bats, you know, you're not going to make a lot of contact. You got to play every day to get good. And same with fighting. You know, you can't just practice every day. You got to play the game with legitimate competition. And the only way to do that is get back in there and fight.